Here is an example of what we're going to display today. We're going to take you through the process of assembling your hoops, both those without trusses and truss supports and those with trusses and truss supports. The first thing you're going to want to do is find a level, flat spot to assemble your hoops, and you're going to have 3 sections for each of your hoops or your bows. The side pieces have male ends, also referred to as swages. They slide into the center peak piece on either side. Using self-tapping tech screws or self-drilling tech screws, you're going to drive 2 screws through the centerpiece into the swage on the side pieces. And you're going to do that on both sides. Once you do this, you now have a fully connected hoop, and you're ready to pick it up and walk it over to your ground posts for installation. It is easiest to carry the hoops by locating yourselves at the side. There's no reason to stand the hoop up quite yet, and you can use the ground itself to leverage the hoop into the upright position. And with 2 people, one person can kind of hold it and keep it from moving around. You see how near side here the hoop is still on the ground. One person gets it set up on the ground post, and then with the tension that's on the hoop, you're going to have to push pretty hard inward until it gets into the ground post, and you can kind of wiggle it down into shape. You can wiggle the hoop down into the ground post until it either hits a bolt or the depression from a punched hole. For hoops that are going to have trusses and truss supports on them, it's easiest if you put the brace bands on the hoop before you assemble the hoop pieces. This way you can attach the truss and the truss supports at ground level and then put the hoop up with the trusses and truss supports already attached. You can see here that the brace bands are being slid on, and then the swage is being pushed into the center hoop piece. We'll do this on both sides of the tunnel because both sides will have connections for the trusses and truss support. We'll put on all the brace bands, and then we'll slide the other swage into the centerpiece, and we're now ready to connect the hoop pieces. So before we put the trusses and truss supports on, we're going to drive the screws that we previously showed how to drive in the last step. So with this hoop, it's no different as far as the order of operations go. After your brace bands are on and you've connected the hoop sections, you're now ready to get the hoop itself to the appropriate width. So whatever your hoop width is supposed to be, 30 foot, 24 foot, or what have you, you're going to have to take some of the tension that's already on the hoops off of the hoops. So in this scenario, you can see we have ratchet straps set up. We're double checking the measurement, and it's a 30-foot wide hoop. Now that we've taken the tension off of the hoop, we're going to secure the trusses and truss supports. And these are secured with the brace bands, and we will connect the truss section first, which spans the entire top width of the tunnel. We'll connect the first brace bands on the truss section with a 1/2-inch drive nut and a provided bolt. And then after that, we'll set up the truss supports. As you can see here, we're setting those up to, and where they come in contact with the hoop is where they're secured. Similarly here, with the same hardware, they're going to be secured and then socketed or impact driven into place. We are using the impact drivers to secure the last of the truss supports, and we're just getting those secured down into place. And then similarly to the way we moved the hoop without the truss and truss supports, we're going to pick that up at a point of even leverage so it's easy to walk with it. And we're going to, once again, we're going to use the ground as a point of leverage to stand the hoop into the upright position here. So you can see we're just using the ground to take some of the pressure off of our backs, and it kind of lifts the hoop up for itself. And one person holding it on the ground and stabilizing, another person putting it as much into the ground post as possible and holding it against tension, and then the second person will push that final bit into the ground post, and you'll wiggle it down into place, again stopping at either a bolt or a depression from a punched hole. Once all of your hoops have been put into the ground posts on each side, you are now ready to move on, but you want to make sure that you secure your ground posts to your hoop, and you'll do that on the inside of the structure with self-tapping screws as seen here. And you'll drive those screws through the ground post, 2 screws per ground post, and you'll drive them through the ground post into the hoop. And you'll do this on the inside. This is very important because you don't want these to obstruct the roll-up side and the plastic once that's installed. Once your hoops have been installed into the ground posts and secured, you are now ready to move on to installing your cross braces and hip rail. You can watch that in another one of our videos. And if you want to see more videos on greenhouses and small farming in general, please subscribe to our channel.